Welcome back to the Life of Buddha series. In episode 21, we witnessed an important turning point in the Buddha's journey of spreading the Dharma. After completing the first rainy season retreat at Deer Park, the Buddha prepared his disciples to embark on a journey to spread the Dharma more widely. He explained how to give the 3 refuges and the ordination ceremony to those who wanted to follow the religion. The Buddha also taught his disciples how to deal with the challenges and arguments they might encounter from other religious traditions. The key point is the Buddha's teaching that man and the Dharma are one, emphasizing the importance of inner practice and realization rather than external debate. He advised his disciples to be silent as the Dharma and speak as the Dharma. When 60 holy monks left Deer Park to spread the Dharma, they began a journey that would later be seen as one of the greatest turning points in the history of human religion and culture. The Life of Buddha Shakyamuni, Episode 22, Unexpected Encounter with the Princes. Standing in front of the beautiful leaf hut that the monks had painstakingly built, the Buddha looked around. During the 4 months of the rainy season retreat here, with this forest, with these deer, this walking path had become familiar. A monk living a life without a door or a house, if he stayed under a tree for more than 3 nights, he could develop attachment, except for those who had ended their defilements. Future monastic rules for the Sangha must certainly include this rule. Deer Park was deserted. Only a few people left late. The Buddha headed southeast and started walking. Coming out of the forest, the space was open. The sunlight was fresh. The cool wind rustled the tops of the trees and blades of grass. The long red dirt road, as far as the eye could see, was dry, bustling with pedestrians and horse-drawn carriages coming and going. After the rainy season, the rivers and lakes were still full, the mountains and forests were green, and the fields were full of young rice. This was the most pleasant time of the year. The next month or two, the weather was still warm, very favorable for the monks here and there. In the afternoon, the Buddha crossed the shaky wooden bridge, heading towards a village hidden behind a bamboo grove to beg for alms. It had been a long time since the Buddha had gone begging, because at Deer Park, the monks took turns offering alms. This was also legal and lawful because he was too busy preaching and teaching the Dharma to his disciples. The residents here were also devout, and perhaps they had heard of the monks in Deer Park, so they placed alms bowls very generously and respectfully. In addition, the Buddha himself sometimes did not know. His appearance was so beautiful, his complexion was so radiant, whoever made offerings to him felt joyful and happy for half a day. It had been a long time since he had been alone, so the Buddha left the main road and entered a small path leading to the Kapasiya forest, which was now a forest of flowers. Clusters and clusters of kadamba flowers, bright orange and saffron, seemed to glow against the sky. Inside, the forest was very airy. The flowers were like woven carpets, and there, several clear streams intersected like snakes winding from the white waterfalls over the spectacular dark green rocks. The Buddha sat down to rest for a while, breathing in the fresh, fragrant air, then calmly ate his meal. Inside and out, everything was quiet and peaceful. After washing the bowl, the Buddha placed it on a rock by the stream. He walked for a while, and then sat down to meditate. Suddenly a flock of birds took off, followed by a group of noisy people from the other side of the forest. They were all young men and women, dressed in luxurious and noble attire, with some children and servants, carrying tents, musical instruments, food and drink. Seeing a monk sitting quietly under a tree, a young man separated from the group and walked over, politely clasped his hands and asked, "Venerable monk, did you see a girl, a prostitute, passing by here?" The Buddha sat here because he had deliberately waited for this opportunity. They were 30 princes, the royal relatives, the sons of the concubines of King Mahakosala, all younger brothers of King Pasenadi of Kosala, whose capital was Savatthi. King Pasenadi had an excellent education at Takasila University, was talented and virtuous. After ascending the throne, he treated his younger brothers very well. Each of them had territory, property, and positions at the court or in the governorates. Their elder brother had nothing to criticize. His virtue and talent overwhelmed everything, so he became autocratic and tyrannical. The princes felt that they did not know where to use their talents and knowledge, so they became bored. Occasionally they met each other, traveled to the mountains and rivers, wandered here and there, sought pleasure in inns, guest houses, and taverns, and sang and played music to relieve their boredom. So the luxurious carriages left Savatthi, following the road of commerce to visit famous places. This time, having had enough of playing in Varanasi, the city of luxury, with his wife and children, they visited this forest. Among them, there was a young prince who was not yet married, so he brought along a prostitute. That afternoon, while everyone was resting here and there in the flower forest, the prostitute stole all the gold, silver, and personal belongings and ran away. They divided to search, and when they reached this place, they met the Buddha. These princes were learned, had little dust in their eyes, and could quickly understand the Dharma. Moreover, they were important factors and seeds that would later easily propagate the Dharma in this empire, influencing King Pasenadi, his court, and his people. If the Dharma wanted to grow strong and develop, it needed powerful kings to support it, and it was best if they became male attendants. Because of this cause and condition, when the prince asked for the whereabouts of the prostitute, the Buddha used his compassionate heart to cover everyone. Then slowly, leisurely, smiled and spoke in a gentle voice. "Hey, you noble princes, what do you think? Please answer me. Is it better to look for a daughter with an evil heart, or to look for yourself, to find your true self?" Looking at the dragon-like, phoenix-like appearance of the young monk, he was only 36 years old. His smile was radiant, his sitting posture was carefree, his manner was calm, his words had wings and fire, and it seemed that he was also attracted by a cool magnetic force, so they slowly, quietly, unconsciously looked at each other and sat down around him, also very quietly. In their entire lives, they had never heard anywhere, learned anywhere such a strange saying, "Go find your true self." A prince who looked senior and knowledgeable slowly said, "Vedic philosophy and the Upanishads both consider this world as Maya, an illusion. Nothing is real. So I dare say to you, great monk, is it possible to find the real self?" The Buddha compassionately looked around, knowing that with such a question, everyone was watching silently and attentively. This congregation was ready to have ears to listen, ready to have the mind to understand. So he added another question. "Do you really know for sure? Do you understand clearly about that idea of Maya, that illusion, that unreality? Please explain it so that the Tathagata can broaden his knowledge." The Buddha's way of looking, speaking, and asking, although very modest, showed maturity, exuding the style of a learned, experienced master in the school of theory, as if he were conversing with his students. This congregation was all intellectual and well-read, so they understood, they smiled lightly. A prince suddenly took off his royal robe to cover his seat and spoke loudly. You know for sure, venerable monk. Here, more than half of us come from Takasila University. Although our major is governing the country and pacifying the people, we are also thoroughly equipped with all ancient and contemporary philosophies, and Maya is the consistent thought, the red thread connecting all traditional sects. It is also the epistemology of all the most formal speculations. Another continued, "Let me add a little more scholastically. Maya is the total reality, but it is neither monistic nor dualistic. Although its magical game is divided into two aspects, half real and half unreal, half existing and half non-existing, it does not establish what is real and what is unreal, what is existing and what is non-existing. And the Upanishads, the great collection of later thought, from this monstrous Maya, established the philosophy of non-duality." The Buddha listened very attentively. At this point he asked again, "You have a solid educational foundation, solid knowledge, and your presentation and statements are very precise and clear. Thank you, Tathagata has understood. However, Tathagata still has questions. So when you accept this very orthodox Maya thought, this non-dual philosophy, how will you live? That is, how will you arrange your life? What Tathagata means is, will it help your life become meaningful? More peaceful and happier?" The Buddha heard a few long sighs rustling somewhere. The whole congregation suddenly fell silent as if facing nothingness, like a frozen winter night, without a breath of the earth, without a leaf or a seed moving. In the midst of that silence, he asked another question, as if intentionally pushing the thinking of these young men into a dead end. Or in other words, after epistemology comes the philosophy of action. The Tathagata still does not understand one thing. Do the Vedas and Upanishads offer a path of practice to step out of that maya, that non-duality? Yes, great monk. Another one replied with a worried look. Oh, there are so many paths: hymns, praises, sacrifices, prayers, mantras, magic. Then there are the ways to purify the soul, the stages of yoga, breathing, chanting the sacred Om, emptying the mind to enter into Ishvara, Rama, Brahman. That is, the more you learn, the more confused, dark, and dull the mind becomes. Well, I entrust it all to God, to the higher gods. Buddha asked again. It turns out that it still cannot solve human problems with the existence of reality. Anxiety, worry, desire, fear, jealousy, disappointment, boredom, sadness. One person replied, it cannot be solved because that is the truth, that is Maya. All this world is imperfect, empty, tears, joy, suffering, happiness, old age, and death. There is no dream, no ideal that can be realized and grasped in the hand. Because they are real and then unreal, they appear and then disappear. The world around us is the same. Flies, mosquitoes, insects, grass, and trees. They are born to die, they die to be born. All illusions. Human life, 10,000 human lives, even the earth, the moon, the stars, the rivers and mountains are all eroded, destroyed, and then also sunk into oblivion in the operation of the great transformation. What is the meaning of man with his worries, sorrows, restlessness, and anxiety? What is the use? Meaningless. The Buddha thought to himself, they are in a high position. Their knowledge and understanding are even greater than yasa's. Fame, power, class, position, wealth, pleasures are all at the top of society, but they only want to wander around to pass the days and months due to their spiritual sadness and helplessness in the face of the cruel world of Maya. They have seen dukkha very deeply, so it is easy for me to lead them into the stream. Dear princes, the Buddha began his sermon as if he were confiding in you. I will not hide anything from you. I was formerly Prince Siddhartha of the Sakya clan from the city of Kapilavatthu, a small country next to Kosala, a vassal of your country. I also had 3 palaces, a royal life like you. But throughout my youth, I could not find true joy, constantly restless, worried, and troubled. Your gray thoughts just now were also the pessimistic thoughts of the Tathagata at one time. We are surrounded by that net of Maya. We are swallowed up by that world of Maya. However, on the very day I had my first son, on the day I was crowned king, I gave up everything to set out, to become a wandering mendicant seeking the way. I did not surrender to Maya. Then, during 6 years of seeking a teacher, wandering and practicing asceticism to the utmost, the Tathagata still could not find the key to open the door of Maya. It was when he was near death, at the very moment of the grim reaper's snare in the Gaya mountain range, that the Tathagata awakened and found the middle way. Then that night, the full moon night of the month of Visakha, about half a year ago, at the foot of the Asata tree by the Naranjara river near the village of Uruvilla, the Tathagata conquered the internal and external worlds, removed all the shackles of Maya, the nets of Maya, and stepped out of birth and death, enlightened and completely liberated. The Tathagata knew that he had attained the fruit of Samyak Sambuddhahood, had become a Buddha. Because he wanted to influence this intellectual congregation, at this point, the Buddha used his supernatural powers again, a kind of bright white halo covering his entire body, as if sitting in the sun and moon, and then continued. That which traditional thought draws its conclusion from is called Maya, the Tathagata calls dukkha, and the Tathagata has the following formula. Maya, the cause of Maya, the cessation of Maya, and the path leading to the cessation of Maya. If you princes wish to hear, the Tathagata will expound it. In such a way, so skillfully, so well spoken, the Buddha slowly expounded the 4 noble truths in a different way, making the 30 princes imbued with the flavor of the wonderful Dharma. Joy filled every hair strand, penetrated every cell and thought. They attained the fruit of Shrodapana, stream enterer. All doubts were cleared. A horizon opened, bright and beautiful. Throughout the afternoon, the Buddha continued to teach them in detail about the path, even in detail. He also opened up to them the realms and the karmic retributions of living beings there. The more they heard and saw, the more they believed in the Buddha and the Dharma. The eldest attained the Anagami fruit, and 28 others attained the Sakagami fruit. Only the youngest, who had an affair with a prostitute, did not progress any further. When all 30 princes asked to become monks, the Buddha agreed, but he said that they had to settle the matter of their wives and children. They agreed. Then, all night long, no one knows how they persuaded them. No one knows how they arranged their work. But in the morning, servants brought carriages and horses to take their wives and children to Savatthi. At the same time, they prepared their robes and bowls somewhere. With clean hair and beards, with jet black iron bowls, and with yellow robes, all 30 princes seemed to have left their bodies and transformed into 30 monks with beautiful and bright appearances. Kneeling at the Buddha's feet, after reciting the 3 refuges 3 times, all 30 attained arhatship. Staying in the Kapasiya forest for a few more days, the Buddha again kindly taught the holy monks 4 more important sermons, then advised them to leave for the Pavaya region, in the Kosala territory, to propagate the Dharma for the benefit of living beings. These 30 monks were later called the Pavaya group of monks. Thus, the Master's celibate order had 30 more outstanding factors. Dear ladies and gentlemen, becoming 90 just listened to the video about the life of Buddha Shakyamuni, adapted from the work A Life, a Sun and Moon by Master Geoy Duck. This video series will be broadcast at 7 p.m. every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on the YouTube channel Buddhist Story. We sincerely thank you for watching. To not miss the next episodes, remember to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. If you find the content useful, please share this video with your relatives and friends. All your comments are very valuable to us. Please leave comments below the video so we can discuss and share together. Thank you, and see you again in the next episodes of the video series, The Life of Buddha Shakyamuni.